Hey, and welcome back to another Learning Java 2D game programming video. So in our last video, we were working on this targeting feature so that now we can target an NPC which is close to us and in front of us. And in today's video, I was thinking we're gonna put our NPCs into bubbles. So I've been making some graphics. As you can see here are the bubbles. This is a little animation of it blowing up into a large bubble. And while I was at it, I had to make some new animations, so levitating inside of the bubble, as well as blowing a bubble. And while I was doing that, I also added a couple more characters. So here is Melissa and Roger. Alright, so that's some new graphics. However, to make this bubble, I want this bubble to be a moving entity, which means it is now time to split the moving entity into another class for our humanoids. So we're gonna call it a humanoid. The bubble isn't gonna be able to have any effect or anything on it, but it will move and it will be a game object because we're gonna parent our NPCs to the bubble. So the bubble can soar off and the parents and the NPCs will follow along. So doing this will probably be a little time consuming because it is sort of a major refactor since we're using the moving entity a lot. But there's no time like now, right? So let's do it. First of all, I'm going to create a new package in the entity package, which I'm going to call humanoid. And inside of here, we're going to make the Java class humanoid. All right, so the humanoid is going to be a moving entity. And first of all, let's just implement the handle collision, which we're not going to use for now, and also a constructor matching super. All right, now to all of the fun work. So right click on this file, say split vertically, and have your humanoid in one window and the moving entity in the other. And let's start moving stuff that are to do with effects and action. So letting the moving entity only keep stuff related to moving for now. All right, over with this into our constructor, and also these very specific numbers are for our humanoids and their sprites, right? So we can actually move this as well. Let's see, there we go. Cut that out, paste that in. Good, this has to do with our humanoid. And now for the updates. So first of all, I'm just gonna copy this entire thing over and then we're gonna pull out the things that we don't need. So we absolutely want handle action. I'm not sure if we want handle motion, because we might need it though, because we do stuff with the action here. So if action isn't present, then we update it. Otherwise, we stop. If we have an action, we want to stop. We don't want to be able to control it. But we can do that like this instead. So do this, motion update entity controller. As long as we say stop before we get to applying the motion, we can reverse whatever we've done. So let's do that. This will now be a protected abstract void, handle motion, and then we can cut this out, move that into our humanoid class. This is now protected, good, and let's remove this and say if action is present, let's stop. All right, so how is that? First, we update using our controller, but if this says we should stop, then we are stopping, and we're doing that before the application, so that will be fine. And then we say animation manager update with direction. That's fine. The effects aren't in here. So, whoop, sorry. Okay, so these of course go out of here now. The effects can stay. Let's just take the handle action. Let's move with our update now. So with the handle action, the effects are fine. Handle collisions, we can do here. So let's remove that from here. Manage direction isn't for that. However, decide animation. This is using actions, so we sort of need to move it, but we also have this walk and stand. So what I'm gonna do instead is even walk and stand is very specific to our humanoids. They have walk and stand, but maybe our bubble isn't gonna have a walk and stand. So what we're doing instead is just like the other one. Let's make a protected abstract string, decide animation. And now we're gonna let this instead return the animation name that we want. So here, let's make a decide animation, override, protected string decide animation. And it looks something like this now. And instead of all of this play animation, we're gonna do that up here. So we're gonna do animation manager, play animation, and then whichever animation that our decide animation is giving us. Where is my mouse? There it is. So there we go. That means we don't have to use the play animation here, or we shouldn't. So let's just do return this name, or otherwise return walk. And we don't need an else statement here. We can just do return stand, because if any of the others were true, we've already returned out of this. So this is the else anyway. All right, that's it for the decision of animation. So we don't need to keep that in there. The position application we're not doing. The cleanup, yeah. So this cleanup only has to do with effects and actions. So we can just copy that over. All right, so this is now doing cleanup and this is not. We've never removed the handle action. There we go. Okay, and these three should be moved to here. Good, also the is affected by. All right, so the splitting of the classes, I think, is basically done. And the fact is, we saved a lot of space now. I'm happy with this. However, now comes the fun part of seeing where are we using this moving entity, because for example, inside of our action, we're using the moving entity. And speaking of this, the action and effect is specific to humanoids, so let's actually move those into the humanoid package and see that nothing broke, and it doesn't look like it did. So in the action, let's start from there. Moving entity, refactor, type migration. We're gonna do humanoid, humanoid, refactor. Also shift F6 and rename it to a humanoid, and rename references. All right, game state, show difference. What are you talking about? So this has something to do with memory content was the one that moved it. Okay, so that's the one that I want. This has to do keep memory changes. This has to do with the Git repository that I have. Okay, so let's go to the COFF class and see here. Now we're getting game objects of class moving entity, which isn't what we want. We want of humanoids. All right, and maybe we don't want to call it moving entity either, but let's call, since this is called humanoids, we're gonna get, so we're inside of the action. Let's just call this the performer instead. That way we can call this the humanoid. All right. So the names don't clash. All right, so these actions are done. Let's just see the effects. We have the moving entity. Let's type migrate. Type migration. Humanoid refactor. And also rename it humanoid. All right. And this is fine. Good. So what else do we have? I think we can actually close those off so we can use the big window again. The humanoid is done. These should be fine. Here we are gonna fix some things. So inside of this game state, it says NPC add effect. All right, I know why that is. Our NPC now, of course, extends the humanoid, as does our player. I think that will fix this. Yes. And the player is still a little sad. Let's see why that is. Ooh, has protected access. We don't want to be clearing the effects right now anyway, so let's fix that some other time. The whole point was we don't want to just move into our NPCs and make them healthy. So that's why we're doing the bubbling in the first place. So let's just remove that effect. Okay, we're done there. I think, right, so this has the moving entity is affected by. And also, this is the old way of doing this. We made a helper function. So get game objects of class, humanoid class, also stream. And then let's just rename it to humanoids. And awesome. So let's just replace all of this, and this is just with a not. Okay, so that's done. Let's see if we can play this or if we forgot something. So hopefully it should work just like before. And it does not. Something is off, of course. So let's see what that might be. Ah, I think I know what it is. Let's find our humanoid. We did not call super updates. Very important. Okay, let's try it again. All right, good. So now, as you can see, it's working just like before, but we have split them up into two classes. Awesome. I'm gonna see how much time that took. 13 minutes. All right, let's do some more little refactors and call it a day, and then we'll do the actual functionality in the next video. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go to the sprite library. And when we started this, I guess I didn't think I'd have a lot of different types of resources. So I thought maybe units was fine and tiles was fine. That's all that we had. But really what I'm seeing is that here we have sprite sets and here we have images, and those are labeled. So instead of now doing like another one of these and calling it effects, because that's where our bubble is, I'm instead gonna rename tiles to images, and then it's gonna be able to keep both tiles and effects and whatever. As long as their labels don't clash, it'll be fine. And we could solve that by naming conventions anyway. So this is gonna be images, and this I'm gonna rename to maybe animations or sprite sets, maybe. It's more accurate. All right, that means we're gonna also rename all of these methods. So load images, and here we're gonna say load sprite sets. Good, and here get sprite set, and get image. All right. I think that's okay. So what we can do now is we can just say that we can load the bubble as well. And get tile. Oh, so it didn't take our refactor Shift F6. All right, so get images in folder gave us, oh, sprites bubble. Why did I say bubble effects? That's what I wanted. Sorry for that. All right, so still works. Awesome. That's what we wanted to see. All right, so we're done with that. I'm gonna do something with the selection circle. So as you could see, I tried rendering out, in between these videos, I tried rendering out some sprites without this shadow, the black shadow that you can see, but it looked very bland and boring. So I want to keep that shadow, which means we can't have our selection circle be filled completely like it is currently, because it looks really weird. So instead we're gonna draw a circle. We're not gonna fill it, we're gonna make an outline. So that's what we're gonna do. Go into your selection circle, instead of fill oval, say draw oval. And now it's gonna be quite thin, which we can do something about, just gonna show you. So it's just 1 pixel wide, the circle. And that doesn't really look too good. So we can change that by setting the stroke. So give it a new basic stroke and say 2. So that means 2 pixels. Awesome, already looks better. I also want to make it a little less wide. I'm gonna say 20. And instead of orange, I'm gonna give it something else. Turquoise? No. Light blue? No. Blue. Ah, blue is so very dark. Let's make a new color. 0, 255, 255. That's a turquoise color. Ooh, something mapper. Access denied exception. That seems like something else. Let's try that again. Okay, better. All right, so now you got a little selection circle. Maybe it's a little too narrow, but I think it's fine for now. Let's not dwell on it. It at least looks better because it's outside of this shadow that we have, so we can have the shadow and still have the selection. It's not as clear, but I feel like it's fine. All right, so we have that. Let's see if there's anything else that I want to be doing. No, I think I'm good. We're going to do the rest in the next video. So thank you for watching. We didn't do a whole lot of new functionality today, but we set some stuff up for the next video, which is good. And we managed to break apart the MovingEntity class, which was getting very big anyway. So I'm very happy about that, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hej då!